All right, what's going on, everybody? Let me make sure I got everything working. If you're in the chat, how's it going? Make sure we got all our technical crap up and running here. All right, looks like we're live. Can anybody hear me? Is there anybody out there? Can everybody see the video? Everybody hear the sound? All right, we're good. Sorry about that. Hey, Andrew, how's it going? All right, cool. Let's start working through this. So, any questions on? Well, let me ask you this: did everybody have a chance to watch the video on Tuesday talking about the changes that we made and how we're going to do this going forward? Because I want to make sure that that we have a good foundation for that. I mean, it's pretty simple, but just want to make sure that there's no confusion before we move forward and kind of get into the trades this week. Oh, cool. All right, perfect. Then we will jump right in. All right, let's jump in with Euro, because there's some other stuff I want to talk about on this too. All right, that I don't know that hopefully I was able to get it across effectively, but if you have any questions on it, let me know. So this was our trade on Euro, right? We were at 112.20 and 112.60. I had and then a buy stop at 112.40, and I tried to communicate through the chat room and through the email that I was getting out of the buy stop at 113.40. I'm sorry, that's where the buy stop was 113.40. And when we were up in this area above that buy stop, I think I got out at maybe 15 pips or 20 pips or something because of the price action that I was seeing up there. Okay, and we'll go through that in a minute. I also had the stop at +5 on the second order, so 112.65, and that was obviously hit this morning. Okay, so hopefully everybody was able to catch that, and if we need to figure out a better way for me to communicate, then we can do that. It's hard to communicate something like I'm getting out of the stop loss if it's not in the chat room, right? I can't just send out emails all the time. So if we gotta figure out something else, we can figure out something else. But that's where this one stood. So I ended up getting out of this trade total for what, 65 pips, 68 pips or something. And the weakness started to come in at the top here. Okay, and this is something that I mean, obviously this has been around forever. Everybody talks about it. It's nothing new. It's just something that I noticed yesterday and made me realize that I didn't want to be long this pair anymore. Okay, Dale Pinker talks about this a lot, right? Forex Stop Hunter. This 3 drives move. Okay, and when you see this kind of move or this kind of pattern, okay, up near tops and at bottoms, all right, this is something that I don't play around with. I'm not going to fight it. All right, these 3 drives is what Dale calls it, or the 3 pushes or 3 whatevers. You know, I call it. I think it's just 3 stop hunts. Okay, you've got price making a new high here. We get back down. Price makes another new high. Okay, here, and pushes these stops. People Look, because when you look at the higher time frames, right? If you were to look at a 4-hour chart yesterday, you could see it was getting, it was getting tired. It was tired, but it also run this first liquidity. So that, okay, above 1330 was starting to look extremely weak. It'd make a run for it and then die, and then make a run for it and die. All right. And so when you get down to the lower time frame chart, and you look at this on a 15-minute or a 5-minute, I mean, it's even more obvious on a 5-minute. So maybe we'll do that. Okay. I mean, you get the first push here, you get the second push up, and then it falls back, tries to make it again, can't. You get a third push up, goes through the level, and at that point, I was like, you know what? When I saw it close back down below, I said, you know what? This is not the time to be messing around with being long EU. So I got out of those trades, or I got out of that buy stop and left the others, pretty much knowing that the chances were going to be pretty good that it was going to go back to the stop out. All right. So that, you know, I'm not frustrated with the way we played Euro at all this week. Okay. We took what it presented on a levels basis. If you look back at the start of the week, let's see. Right here, okay, we may have missed a trade here, but that was tough because Monday we were still getting into the new stuff, and it kind of is what it is. We took the trade, we set the levels on what we should have set it on. We took some pips, and I don't feel like we misplayed it at all. You're probably asking, why are we not setting levels here right now? And that's just because this reversal pattern makes me think that this structure is in doubt. Okay, the way that Euro pound is run up and the way that Euro US dollar is run up, I'm having just some hesitation on setting buy levels on this. Okay, right now, if we wanted to set some at the 786 and the 886 of this move, we could absolutely do it. That's definitely something. Did anybody else lose the picture? Try refreshing. Oh, we can't hear. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So we could potentially set a 786 or an 886 here. That doesn't like a 112 and a 111.80. That's a definite possibility here. I've got to dig into this a little bit more in terms of where I think this is going to go. Okay, if this is going to go 115, if we're going to chase, I'm trying to decide if we're going to chase this liquidity right here. Okay, the liquidity at 115. I'm trying to decide if that's in play, then we want to be setting more orders and we want to be trying to get into this. Okay. I'm just having a tough time figuring out what I want to do with Euro right now. So I will say this. I will say that if you want to set a 786 or an 886 on this, I don't think it's a bad trade. I don't think it's a bad trade at all. But we are seeing more weakness inside of or around the 20 and the 34. So it has a potential. I mean, you know what? Every trade has a potential to stop out. So if you want to set these, set them and go. All right. Any questions on why we did what we did on Euro, or how we could have, or why we played it the way we did, or what to do next time? In all reality, you know, if we were truly just looking for, if this was a first move, or if this was a pull away from the 200, right? We could have more confidence that that this was going to continue. But once you get, you know, once you get up into these higher moves, it just becomes more and more difficult to to really get behind a continuation move without some kind of stronger pullback. So maybe it's all mental. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I'm gonna ride out euro a little bit longer before I set any more orders. So pound dollar, we didn't miss anything at all this week. I'm 100% confident that this was a meat grinder this week, and that we played that to the best of our ability, which was don't play it at all. Same with odd, okay, flat around a 200. Now the question is, what are they waiting for, right? What's coming up that is going to propel these things into some trend or good move again, right? Because once they go, we're going to be able to take a lot of trades. So I don't know. Maybe everything, risk wise is waiting on ECB in March now. They know that JPY, that BOJ is going to intervene as much as they want to, but that just doesn't have any kick in the market anymore. So maybe they're waiting on ECB, and maybe they're waiting to see if the Fed's going to actually hike in March or not. And unfortunately, maybe we're going to range out until those events happen. So something to think about. New Zealand, this is starting to look a little bit interesting. All right, this could be an interesting long, and I'm not 100% sure why New Zealand wants to start flexing its muscles now and nothing else. But this may prove to be interesting longs. Okay, but right now, it's got a stack, but it's a stack that could very well not find any footing, because it's very, very, very potentially range bound. Okay, and New Zealand would have to have something in the tank that odd and pound don't have for it to really break out and do anything right now. So it's going to be, I'd be shocked if this doesn't just head back to the 200 and try to press this level and this level. Okay, I'd be shocked if they're not going to try and press those liquidities. So in terms of a levels trade, there's not a lot that we can do to join this right now. It has no new highs. It's hard to set levels on, but it's the one where potentially it could be the one that breaks out. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. Dollar yen, unfortunately, highly unfortunately, our levels just didn't catch in here. This thing has been on an absolute destruction course lower, right? And this was the BOJ intervention candle yesterday, and we're getting some. Oh, there we go. We're getting some follow through on it now, and we'll have to see how that works. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. All right, we will. What's the plan from here on? So set levels on dollar yen. Okay, on UJ. Yeah, here's the thing. Here's how the levels would work on UJ right now. And if I'm going to set these, okay, I'm going to set 786 and 886s on it to minimize my risk of some risk on event happening in BOJ, okay? That's probably my biggest fear right now with dollar yen, okay, is because, this is the driver of risk, right? And if there is, if there's a place that central banks are going to try and initiate risk on, it's going to be in BOJ, or it's going to be in UJ, okay? And they can't. They let 116 go, and we obviously see what happens when we see what happened when 116 went. Now the question is, do we want to try and stand in the way of potential central bank action. You've already seen an intervention here. Do we really want to stand in the way of that type of activity? We saw it here, and we got killed on it, right? That we were headed the wrong way, but there's still that potential. So I'm trying to weigh the risks on dollar yen right now. It is one that you absolutely see interventions from, and they don't really care, right? They're just going to do it, and they're going to do whatever they need to. So I'm trying. I mean, that was a humongous move. That's basically 122 to 111, 110.80. That's an enormous move, and the fact that I couldn't get into it on a levels trade was pretty annoying. But now setting levels, I don't know if I'm comfortable with it. We can set them at the 786 and 886 and just have that stop in, and that's probably the best thing that we can do. We've got to try and take on some of this risk off idea and see if we can capitalize on it, because right now that's going to be the way it's going. And just know that that Bank of Japan could do something crazy, and yeah, I'm not going to set them going into the weekend. Let me put it that way. I don't want Sunday night to be some kind of destructo intervention. But going into next week, this is what I'm seriously considering, is a 786 and an 886 on this. So I hope that makes sense. Dollar CAD, nothing to do here. Okay, this is that range. Levels trades, only retracements. Let's talk about that in the chat room, Romeo. I'm not gonna get into that here. Dollar CAD is ugly right now, right? You've got the 100 on the wrong side of the 200, but you've also got the 20 on the wrong side of the 34. So nothing that we can really do there today, or this week. We didn't miss anything. We didn't miss anything this week. I'm confident on dollar CAD that we did the right thing by sitting on our hands. Pound odd, again, same thing. Mirroring the pound and the odd, both sitting on 200s, and not much to do in these scenarios, right? Pound New Zealand, little bit better. This is a tough one. Could we have possibly taken a trade in here? Potentially. Okay. I mean, depending on where you want to set a fib, it's not super clear. So I don't feel like I just missed something that was, outrageously, glaring me in the face on this. I don't feel like I just, missed something on this, but we might have been able to get a trade, but just like this move here, it's having a real tough time deciding where it wants to go. So I'm not really worried about that one. I think we did okay. Euro pound, I think we missed this trade. Again, I'm sort of getting my feet wet with this one. I think that is definitely a trade that I should have been in, but it is what it is. I'll have to be a little bit more aware as I go through with Euro pound, and it looks like, overall, it looks like this is going to be a really good one to trade in terms of getting into these stacks and being pretty reliable. Just looking through here, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 to 6 trades on a stack. If we can take them all and get into them. The key, right? The key is, look at the difference here. Okay, this is a great example, and I should have done this on Euro, but or on Euro US dollar. But the difference is how this reacts at the 20. Okay, it's not spending time at the 20. Okay, we put our levels in and it would take off. Okay, we put our levels in here, you get one red bar, you know, one bear bar, and then it takes off, right? This is starting to weaken up. Okay, this is different price action around these levels than when you see the real money made in these trends, right? Like you get in here, you start bouncing and then dying and bouncing and dying, and that's the kind of price action that we're starting to see in here that makes me a little bit less excited about jumping onto this trend again. Okay, and that's just subjective on my part. And you know, if you guys want to set levels and you want to, you know, try and take advantage of a 786 and an 886 on this, I guess 786 has already been satisfied. You know, if you want to try and get an 886 and put on 25 pips of risk, okay, or 30 pips of risk, you know, that's not a trade that's against the levels rules. But just know that this price action is not, it's not being conducive to what we want to accomplish there. So like I said, we missed a trade on this. We missed this one continuation trade here to the 618, but we'll get those. It'll happen again. It's all happened before. It's all going to happen again, and we'll get them. Odd New Zealand, we had that this one, I swear, this pair is unbelievable, right? Fresh new stack down, great move up here. We got into it. We had a nice move down. We had the sell stop in. And then that morning, right before I woke up, I moved my stop the night before. Maybe I was a little aggressive on moving my stop, but you know, the way things have been going, I just wanted to, I didn't want to risk this trade. It was already in profit. I'm not going to risk this trade. It ticks me out on the +5, okay, on this wick right here, and then goes down and hits my sell stop. So I'm naked sell stop at that point. And where I hate to be, I mean, if you've been around for any amount of time, you know that I hate to be naked sell stop on these things or buy stop. So this thing, you know, jacks around for a little bit, and I just ended up closing it at break even. And I'm almost positive I put that in the chat, and I'm pretty sure that I put it in the email. But just know that if you're gonna put in a buy stop or a sell stop, don't let it become naked. Okay, this is a good point where it's like, okay, you know, an interesting situation here with that wick, and then we got naked short, and that's not the place that I really want to be. So manage those accordingly, and don't get risky with them. Don't let them turn into losers like this that you don't want it to be. All right. And this was just frustrating. I don't even know how else to describe it. This one was just, I thought we were on a good trade here. But I guess that this was just too much. It wasn't going to go down here. This is what hesitated me last week, and it just wasn't going to go there. So, you know, as of right now, we haven't missed anything. I think we're sitting fine on it. We did the best we could with this trade. So I think overall, minus the euro pound trade this week that we missed, I think we did pretty good. I think that we took what we could from levels trades, and you know, maybe learned a couple of lessons on how to manage things. I know I did anyway, and you know, made a couple of pips this week. I got to get us into better trades, and start to be able to ride some of these waves. But for changing it on Monday and already being into the middle of some of these moves, I think we did all right. So any questions on anything else that happened this week, or that, you know, maybe going into next week? Anything you'd have a question on? because I like answering questions more than I like hearing myself talk. At least, at least, yeah. There's at least I'm not talking to a blank screen here. All right. I guess if we're good on questions, then that does it for the wrap up. We'll continue to look at markets this same way going into next week and going forward. I think it's going to produce some amazing trades, and we're going to get into some good stuff here. All right, guys. I guess I will talk to you the start of next week. I'm going to send this recording out here in a few minutes and go from there. But have a good weekend. Thanks for being here, and let's go make some pips next week. See you guys.